I'm gonna get right to it, man. For the people who don't know, I'm Mike D, A2HH, and there are a lot of hip hop debates that come about. And we always talk about who's better than who, yada yada. I see a lot of tags that we get on Twitter, you know what I'm saying? And people jump into the debates and they give their favorites, but I think everybody has a specific criteria of how they judge who's the best. But Mobb Deep and Outkast. I wanted to explore them first, but before I get into that, I wanted to go by 10, possibly 11 different criteria. And let me know what you guys think about this. And we're gonna get to this and break everything down. When it comes to groups, we have a 10, 11 criteria setting, if you will, right? For groups, it's gonna be lyrical ability. Then we're gonna do group chemistry. Then we're gonna do production and sound, discography slash catalog strength, cultural impact, um, substance and lyrical content, stage performance, commercial success, longevity and legacy, originality and innovation. Now that's 10. And if somehow we're locked up at 5, the bonus is going to be intangibles, right? And so Mobb Deep is about to release their album Infinite this coming Friday. I don't like to date these shows, but I do want to add some context to this conversation. And Outkast is about to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And there's been some talks about, Mobb Deep being the greatest, hip hop duo of all time. And I wanted to explore this, and like I said, with different criteria to actually explore how we get to, one's answer. Because again, everybody has an individual taste about what they like and the type of hip hop that makes the move, or what actually excites your individual hip hop palette. You know what I mean? But if we're gonna really have objective lists, because we just saw this pitchfork list with the albums or whatever, and it just looked like somebody's random playlist. Now they had the Infamous at number one. Shout out to the Infamous. I listened to that yesterday. Classic, man. I love the Infamous, but the Infamous being the greatest hip hop album of all time, again, you got to explain why. Does it have the level of versatility that some other albums have? Blah, blah, blah. But once again, that's criteria. So I wanted to start this Outkast and Mobb Deep, and we're going to do many of these. I want to start this with the criteria, and let's explore each criteria and see where each group falls. So, number one, we're going to go with lyrical ability, right? When it comes to lyrical ability between the duos, we know what Big Boy and Andre do individually, and we know what they do as a unit, and we also know what Havoc and Prodigy bring together as a unit. Now, if I am ranking these MCs, and this is not easy, and we're probably going to do this when it comes to many of these group conversations, from the strongest to weakest MC, and I think Havoc's extremely underrated. Let me say that, before I even get into this. I'm going to go Andre 3000 first. A close second, Prodigy, because again, and I'm judging this based on what was done in the group. Now, I'm not bringing in Prodigy's solo efforts and things like that. If we're going to talk group and have group conversations, we're talking about the group catalog and nothing else. Let me make sure that is plain and simple. So, based on what was done in the group, and I do feel like Prodigy as an MC had a heavier lift than all 4 MCs in this conversation in that group dynamic. Prodigy has solo hits by himself in the group. Quiet Storm is Prodigy by himself. You know what I mean? Um, but I'm gonna go Andre 3000 first. Then I'm gonna go Prodigy. Then I'm gonna go Big Boy, and then I'm gonna go Havoc. Y'all know how much I love Big Boy and what Big Boy's been able to do on his features, on Outkast features and things like that. Because I don't even want to count Big Boy's solo discography, because again, we're not counting prodigies in the scope of this conversation. But the things that they did within the group, and we know what Big Boy brings to the table as an MC, and even when Outkast was featured on stuff like Neck of the Woods for Mystical, or Tough Guy from UGK, or International Players Anthem from UGK. We know how Big Boy brought it, and we know how Dre brought it. And I think that if you look at that from a collective standpoint, I'm gonna have to give the lyrical ability of these two MCs in relation to Prodigy and Havoc. I'm gonna give that to Cass. Cass got the lyrical ability. Um, Group chemistry. Whew. Some could say that Outkast's group dynamic is the recipe for, what they were able to create. And that is a level of chemistry, of course. But I do think that as that start to take shape, that kind of was the root of Outkast dispersing in the way that they did and kind of somewhat dissolving and, I don't even want to say breaking up, but just no longer making music together. By the time we get to Stankonia, in my personal opinion, they sound like two separate individuals that were um, contractually obligated to make an album together. And again, I'm not saying that's the case, but that's what Stankonia and Beyond sounds like. Idlewild, you don't even have them in the same frames when it comes to the music videos and things of that nature. When it comes to Prodigy and Havoc, that chemistry has always been there, and it helps the Havoc being the chief producer on many of the Mobb Deep efforts. They're working together. Prodigy's sound just jumps off the page with Havoc's sonics when he was coming, to the table with the production that he was coming with. So I'm gonna give the group chemistry to Mobb Deep. Mobb Deep gets the group chemistry. Production and sound. This was difficult too. Um, Man, Outkast's production from Organized Noise to Earth Tone 3, just the creativity of it all is just next level. It's hard to really put a stamp on it. I would give their production damn near 9, 10. But at the same time, Havoc's production with Mobb Deep, and then you got The Alchemist who was ushered in through Mobb Deep and that Mobb Deep sound. And you think about how influential Mobb Deep's grittiness in their sound and their soundscape has been to hip hop in general. And you think about all the people who freestyled over Shook One's Part Two, Hell on Earth. You know what I mean? Like, of course, Quiet Storm. I'm gonna give the production and sound to Mobb Deep. Mobb Deep gets the production and sound. Discography catalog strength. This was tough too, but I got to be objective here, and let's go album for album. And we did this when it came. Well, I just did this when it came to lyrical ability. If we're gonna put Juvenile Hell up against Southern Playalistic, that's Southern Playalistic, right? Point for Cass. If we're gonna put the Infamous against ATLians, I got the Infamous on that. Point for Mobb Deep. Hell on Earth versus Akumina, I got Akumina on that. That's Cass. Murder Music and Stankonia. A lot of people might disagree with me out there, but I would have to give that one to Stankonia. But let's just say someone's going Murder Music on that. Let's just give it to Murder Music, right? Let's just for the sake of argument. Then you got Infamy, and that's going against Speaker Box Love Below, and I'm going Speaker Box Love Below. And then if we talk about the individual singles and we talk about the soundtrack stuff, now, Mobb Deep has a lengthier catalog than Cass, and that's going to be more so in the longevity conversation. But if we're talking about strength of a discography and we're going 20 songs down, let's just put it in a versus type format. I'm going to give this one to Outkast. And even if it is close, Outkast has the best album between the two groups. I think that we're going to go Akumina first, right? Then I'm gonna go the Infamous second, and then after that, I'm going Southern Playalistic. Um, and after that, I'm probably gonna go Hell on Earth and ATLians. It's fun. It's a lot closer than people think, but I do think that Outkast's big songs, and how they were able to not only cross over, but be strong individual records. It stood the test of time and the ability to change over time. I'm gonna give the nod on the discography to Outkast. Cultural impact. Whew, it's another tough one, man. Outkast put Atlanta on the map. They put the South on the map for, by a lot of estimations. Now we know they weren't the first, but when it came to actually kicking that door open from a national level and making people pay attention to a whole region in its youth, and and being a true force in lyricism and hitting the radio, we know that Outkast is the catalyst of that, and you can still hear Outkast remnants in a Kendrick Lamar. You can hear it in a J. Cole. You could hear it, from generations on. So we're talking about cultural impact, and again, they're about to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And not saying that that's the end all be all, but cultural impact has a lot to do with you even getting that level of acknowledgement. Even though we know Mobb Deep has incredible cultural impact on the East Coast sound, I'm going to give Outkast the cultural impact they put Atlanta on the map. You know what I mean? Like that's what they did that. And there's nothing historically that can change that. Queensbridge, Nas brought Queensbridge back. Not to say that Nas even put it on the map, but Mobb Deep was able to kind of pick up where, the groundwork that Nas put in the year before with Illmatic, and then came with the Infamous and strengthened, that Queensbridge motif and that sound. But Outkast put Atlanta on the map. So I'm gonna give the cultural impact to Outkast. Substance and lyrical content. I'm going Outkast with that. You have singles like a Get Up, Get Out. You have, albums like a I don't want to say albums like a Love Below, but just that lyrical content and being able to give you a Bombs Over Bad Dad, being able to give you songs like Benz or Amoeba for a soundtrack for New Jersey Drive. Outkast has kind of talked about it all. You got In Due Time on the Soul Food soundtrack. They've kind of given you everything from a lyrical content substance standpoint. Talked about everything from voting to making sure you don't feed baby on the dope money. It might not always be sufficient. The parcel service might not call you back because you got cloudy piss. Now you're back in the trap. Just that trap. So yeah, lyrical substance. I'm gonna give that one to Outkast. And this is difficult, man. Stage presence and performance. I think that's gonna go to Outkast as well. We've seen Outkast on many different stages, and many different stages of their career, from everything to from the Grammy performances to the Apollo performances to they weren't on Smoke and Groove. I think that was Goody Mob with the Fugees. But we saw them Coachella. They did the 20th anniversary, and the electricity that Outkast hits the stage. Which I remember when Outkast was on. I think it was the Chris Rock show. Bonds Over Bad Dad. You can look it up on YouTube. And Andre came out there crazy. So yeah, man. I mean, they got so many memorable performances. One of my favorite Mobb Deep performances I remember on 106 in Park. But yeah, man, I remember Outkast did Roses on TRL. They got the great television performances. Seen Outkast live, great performers live, live instrumentation, live musicians. So yeah, I'm gonna give the live performance and stage presence. Shoot, Andre's blonde wigs alone, the stage presence, that goes to Outkast. Commercial success, I mean, that's not even an opinion at that point. At this point, commercial success goes to Outkast. I mean, we know how many records they've sold. We know how successful each album has been. They so the Playlistic was platinum out the gate. Then they followed it up with ATLiens, did the same thing. I think that might have been double platinum. And then they just continued to, be more and more commercially successful as each album dropped. Speaker Box Love Below is a diamond album. It is what it is. Commercial success goes to Outkast. Longevity and legacy. I'm giving that one to Mobb Deep. Mobb Deep, their longevity and chemistry, even with us not having Prodigy anymore, we're about to get an album this week with Infinite. And from everything that I've heard on the album, dope stuff. So I'm gonna give the longevity, and even legacy, man. Like, legacy, that could go either way, but I want to just harp on the longevity side of it. Longevity goes to Mobb Deep for sure. Outkast hadn't dropped an album in 22 years. And in my personal opinion, they haven't dropped, well, not even my personal opinion, they haven't dropped a group album because Outer Wilds is a soundtrack too. It is what it is. They haven't dropped a group album since Stankonia, and that's turning 25 at the end of this month. So yeah, longevity goes to Mobb Deep for sure. I don't think that we need to go to the bonus intangibles. So I got lyrical ability Outkast, group chemistry Mobb Deep, production and sound Mobb Deep, discography Outkast, cultural impact Outkast, substance and lyrical content Outkast, stage presence and performance Outkast, commercial success Outkast, longevity Mobb Deep, originality, innovation. I didn't even say that. I'm sorry. I skipped that. Originality and innovation. That was going to be our recap. I mean, look, it's Outkast, guys. I mean, I don't think you're going to find too many groups that are as original and innovative as Outkast. So I'm giving that one to Outkast. And with that category going to Outkast, I got Outkast in this matchup 7-3. So we don't even need to get to the bonus intangible one. Um, I'm looking forward to this new Mobb Deep album. Let me know which categories you guys think I'm tripping on. Was what I said accurate? And is there another category that needs to be added to this criteria? Hit like and subscribe. Look forward to hearing what you guys got in the comment section. But yeah, again, I got Outkast over Mobb Deep based on this criteria, 7-3. Also, let me know what other groups you think we should do this with, and hit like and subscribe, and I'll talk to y'all soon. All right.